And now I hear Jack O'Hara, the clerk of scales here at Belmont Park, has called for the riders to come and check their weights. This is a normal thing. As you know, everyone carries 126 pounds. This is Lafitte Pinkai Jr., riding Sham, a man who has a big job today. Lafitte, can I ask you to stop for just a moment? You've had your shot at Secretariat twice. Today you get a shot to run him a little longer, 1.5 miles. Do you think this will help your horse?
Well, I think my horse is going to run a good race again. I don't know if I can beat the other horse. I don't know if he helped my horse either, but we're going to try.
Okay, Lafitte.
Right,
thank you very much. And now more riders are coming into the room. Next in is jockey Ron Turcotte and the very familiar silks of Meadow Stud.
Put 1.5 pounds and go.
And the weight now corrected and checked out. Ron, today's the day. You're the first rider who's had a chance to ride a Triple Crown in many a year. Are you feeling the weight a little bit, or do you have so much confidence that it just doesn't matter?
No, it does matter. I mean, it's a horse race. It's another race. We win the other two, but it's just another race. I mean...
What do you think today? Do you look for a fast pace today? Do you feel like you'll have to be off the lead? You look for a slower pace, or have you had any thoughts before the race?
No, I have no idea what's going to be, and I won't know till I get open till we go first quarter.
I'm sure you're glad that you've got a 5-horse field, though.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Okay, Ron, and best of luck. The next rider in being called to the scales is jockey Danny Gargan, who's riding in his first Belmont Stakes, and Danny is aboard Private Smiles, the C.B. Whitney entry in the race. And as I mentioned earlier, probably will be a horse that will come from far off the pace.
That's fine.
The weight's corrected for jockey Dan Gargan. And Dan, do you have a moment? I know you want to come off the pace, certainly, today. How far? Do you think you'll be last in this field?
Well, I'm just going to ride him away from, just let him run away from there and get him to relax and go from there and hope I got more left than anybody.
Hope to back up to you. Okay, Dan, thank you very much. And Angel Cordero is being called to the scales now. Very colorful silks here of Arthur Appleton, a great big apple on the front. And this horse, of course, was in the Kentucky Derby and the Bluegrass Stakes. Won the Bluegrass Stakes, but a bit of a problem in the Kentucky Derby, or rather was second in the Bluegrass. A bit of a problem in the Derby, and tremendous effort here in his last race. Angel, did you ride My Gallant when he was in front all the way this last time?
Yeah, last week.
Do you think he'll show speed today?
Well, I don't know. He probably shows speed because they're long of the race. But I think he'll run either way.
All right. Thanks very much. And here is Braulio Baeza now checking his weight. And Braulio Baeza has the tough job of riding Twice a Prince today. Braulio, in the Kentucky Derby, Twice a Prince had a bit of a problem in the starting gate. Do you anticipate you'll have, or are you thinking now about what the problem could be?
Well, I believe the problem with this horse has been corrected because they have been schooling all this past week, and I believe he'll behave.
All right, then that takes care of Twice a Prince, and thank you very much. Good luck today. And that's it here in the jockeys' quarters, as most of the jockeys have now checked out, and we're ready for the Belmont Stakes.
Woody, this is number 1A, fine big bay colt Sham. And he looks none the worse for wear, but wear he has had. Several hard races, of course, the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness. I noticed the astute trainer, Frank Martin, has brought him over here in cold water bandages that you see on his ankles, Woody. They give good tightness to the skin, and they keep the legs cool on a hot day like this. And
cold water bandages would help us, too, at this moment.
I think we could use them. And, of course, he has the hind bandages not run down, but removable bandages so he won't kick himself in the paddock. Frank, your horse looks marvelous. You've kept him in great condition, and I congratulate you for it. I wish you the very best of luck and admire you for trying so hard with him. And he's a trier, too, isn't he, Frank?
He certainly has an eye of fire.
He's been a game horse. Frank, I wouldn't consider him uncomfortable. It's just a very warm day.
No, he's comfortable. He is comfortable. He's a little hot. I'm very hot myself.
It's just what Woody was saying. Anybody that isn't warm today doesn't get warm. Thank you, Frank.
He's comfortable.
Yes, I think he is, too. And I notice you brought a sponge and a bucket over here just to give him a little cool water.
I give a little cool amount on the body, too.
Yes, it does. A little body brace helps him. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Woody, he looks like a million, doesn't he?
He does look like a million, but unfortunately in this next stall, to which we'll come in a moment, is a horse who looks like 6 million with 80,000 thrown in for dessert, because This one here with the great rounded rear end you see facing you is Secretariat.
Well, facing me he isn't, but that's the privilege that trainers have. I'm sure Lucian Lauren felt that he'd be a little better facing the paddock crowd than facing this crowd out here. And you can't tell until you try to react to a horse.
Well,
now,
as a celebrity, I think he just likes to look out and see his crowd.
You'll notice, Woody, as they're putting this saddle on, these riders would normally be able to do, as they say in track parlance, about 114 pounds. Today, they get to enjoy a luxury. To do 126, they can use the largest saddle they have, and some Pony Express-like pouches have to be put underneath the saddle cloth, as you know, to make up the extra weight and give them all the 126 pounds they have to carry.
There is an endless technical debate we'll spare you as to live weight versus dead weight, but one thing we're sure of, they will all carry 126 pounds because this is a race with scale weights for age. They carry what their age should carry.
Well, Willie Shoemaker, of course, has been belied that live weight situation because when he rides in a race like this, 25 pounds of it is dead weight.
Lucian Lauren at the moment is pulling the second girth tight over there. When he does, we'll try to get a moment with him. In the meantime, you are seeing what was described by Frank last week as the horse's only weakness, that rather sharp slope at the back of the powerful hindquarters. Having a little trouble with that second girth, but now I think Lucian has got it and is tightening. It would be a terrible thing at a race for over $100,000 to have the saddle slip, so they are tightening it up, and there's a rubber girth underneath, isn't there, Frank?
Correct. There are two for safety's sake, and so many of the horses that he runs against seem to be getting this view that we're getting of Secretariat here, Woody. There's Lucian. Beleaguered and working. He has to check now to see, and
check the girth.
Sometimes you take a little pinch of skin when you put that over girth, and it behooves a trainer to make sure that isn't the case.
Lucian is now getting a kiss from Mrs. Tippett, the breeder, and he's now disappearing around to have a last look at the front of his horse.
He gets the kiss, and Secretariat gets the blinkers, which they're now putting in place.
Yes, those are the, what are those, half blink? No, those are
half blinkers, Woody. We discussed this with the horse I ran yesterday. Yes, they're semi-cups or whatever nomenclature you want to put on them.
They look very good in photographs of him anyway.
And he takes so many pictures with them.
And he is now having the last adjustment to his bridle. I guess he's ready. Lucian has given him a slap on the neck to indicate
he is
he
ready.
Thinks he's ready. And he's now coming round here and watching him go out a bit. I think, Frank, you can get in and say a word to him, I think, can't you?
Lucian, the heat doesn't seem to be bothering him too much, does it?
No, I think it's one of his calm of races since I've been beside him this spring. He used to be a little on edge and kick, and this today he's acting very good, very quiet, and very wonderful.
I noticed that his coat is hardly broke out, and I don't mind telling you I'm broke out. It's warm.
Believe you me, it's very hot.
That's commendable. Lucian, the best of luck to you.
Thank you very much, thank you.
Now we come past a little gap here, and we find Racing Secretary Kenny No.
And handicapper, too, Woody, which is his big job. Of course, all these horses carry scale weight, but suppose, and you have to face this situation, that you were to weight him, Kenny, what would you have done?
Well, in all probability, starting on scale, I'd have put Secretary at 26 and Sham at probably 21. And dropping down to My Gallant, probably 17, Private Smiles 15, and Twice the Prince around 10.
Thank you. You do different weights for a shorter race, but we have to hurry on because horses are going out. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny.
And we have just seen Private Smiles. He's circling around in front there.
George is going to keep his horse a little bit cool, and now he's bringing him back in facing this way. Private Smiles is the C.V. Whitney-owned horse that showed such a brilliant stretch effort in his last race. He came from, as we say in the business, 1,000,000 miles out of it, and it was a tremendous effort. If I can see, George is talking to his rider in there.
Well, I must say that C.V. Whitney is a man who's had so many triumphs, his family before him, that he doesn't put horses in here just to see the colors. He puts them in to try to win.
Well, we come to another horse facing the other way, which is the trainer's prerogative in this situation. Lou Goldfine feels that his horse would do better facing that way.
He's gone out.
Lou, your horse looks wonderful. He has versatility, doesn't he? I'm not asking you to commit yourself, but he has speed if you need it.
That's right, he has, Frank. He can come from behind or he can go to the front.
Well, that gives you a choice, and I hope you make the right one, and good luck to you.
Thank you, Frank.
My Gallant has the head of one of that name. He's now getting his blinkers with a red apple, and I guess we go now to the last horse here.
Last but not least is Twice a Prince, trained by the My friend, John Campbell, and the very successful John Campbell. John, you and I were talking about a match race versus a field, and you're one of the fellows that's making a capable field. Do you think that makes a better race?
Oh, sure. Match races are out with. There's no... People shouldn't have match races because it's a different game. Years ago, people were afraid to run, but match races don't tell who the best horse is. And you should always have two, 3, 4, 5, 6 horses, even more than that, to make an even race out of it.
Much more realistic, isn't it?
That's right. Yes, it is.
Has your horse schooled in the gate since you ran him last?
Yes, he has. Very good. And we're going to blindfold him today, walk him in blindfolded, and he'll be all right.
The very best of luck to you, John.
Thank you.
Well,
Woody?
as a field, they all look wonderful. But you do have to say that Secretariat at this moment looks a little more wonderful with the muscles on muscles, which are his special privilege. And so that's the field.